podcast. And officially, unofficially, we've been talking about it, but this is the week. Happy 10th anniversary to the Rebel Radio podcast.
Happy 10th anniversary, dude.
That's crazy. Doesn't seem like it was 2014. It was just yesterday.
Dude, I can remember some of our early podcasting shenanigans. The Rock Band microphone is definitely one of them.
We don't talk about that, okay?
Yeah.
That's wild, man. We are planning some sort of 10th anniversary episode where we will discuss a lot of those early episodes, moments, things we remember, where we were in 2014 compared to now, and all that's coming. We had planned on kind of having it ready already, but shenanigans, I guess that's a good word, and things don't work out the way we plan it. But in the next few weeks, at some point, probably shortly after Comic Palooza, we will have that 10th anniversary episode in the books and bring it to your listening ear holes. And man, I don't know, my voice is a little shot today for some reason. I don't know why. But I'll make it through. I will persevere.
Were you trying to talk like Batman earlier? I feel like maybe you're walking around in your Batman mask.
That's a Rebel Radio moment. Remember that 6-month period where I had like laryngitis or something? I was talking worse than this for like months.
Or the drugs.
Yeah, that was rough, man. But yeah, 10 years, man. What a ride. I mean, like I said, we'll do a lot more reminiscing on it, but we'd be remiss not to do some of it today, being that it's officially the episode of the week of our 10th anniversary. And it's just the places it's taken us, the people we met, the friends we made, absolutely most of those through Comic Palooza, to get to this point, and the support of all those people, and some celebrities we've had the pleasure of meeting, some standing in a room I always thought was really cool was the press junket at Comic Palooza they used to do. And we're standing in a room, and the great Walter Simonson, one of the greatest comic book artists of all time, is standing there, and we got to interview him. And I was thrown on the spot. I didn't have time to research it, but Walter was such a gentleman. We pulled off a pretty good little podcast, and only like 2 shows got to interview him because it was over. And we got to talk to the great Walter Simonson. Just little moments like that, man.
He did the whole Thor Ragnarok storyline.
Yeah, he's done Star Wars comics. The dude's done it all, man. He's one of the greats. And he was just a pleasure to speak with. And then there were some odd things on the junket that day, like the cross-dressing cosplayer kind of caught us off guard. Wasn't sure what to say.
Yeah, that was odd.
Getting to hang out with Ming Chen and Michael Zapsik, and getting to know Ming, things like that. I mean, just where this world's taking us. Live shows at Misfit Toys, from live shows on the Comic Palooza floor. A lot of cool moments over the 10 years, and we're not done. By any means, I don't think. There's been times where me and Matt have, we've talked like, man, when's it going to end? But man, then we both just keep trekking, because what a better way to vent and to talk about geek shit than hang out with your best friend every week and talk cool shit, and
it's like, whenever I'm at work, it's like, I'll mention fun movie facts to somebody, and they're just like, oh, that's cool. And then over here there's a reverb. It's like we just kind of bounce back and forth off each other, and it's fun. Just fun talking about cool shit that you discover, and some of your favorite flicks. We did Gladiator, and it was done on a whim. The script was made up as it went along. That was cool. There's different little tidbits about every movie, but it's, you find out stuff like that and you're like, wow, this movie was it's like a top, 20, maybe top 25 film all time, maybe, for some people.
Well,
and you know,
especially for you discovering a lot of films you've never watched before, because
yeah.
I've gotten you to watch them.
I feel like this
and
year.
I just thought about that because I still
time.
can't believe Long has never seen Gladiator.
Oh, that
just
is right.
blows my mind that he hasn't seen that. Yeah, but films you've never seen before. So the podcast become a place of discovery. I've had people have come up to me and say, "Hey, Mark, I had never heard of that movie. I'm going to watch it now." So and I really have had some people tell me that, and so that's cool. Things like that. And we'll talk a lot more in the 10th anniversary episode, like our favorite episodes. It's always a favorite episode when I'm talking one of my favorite films. We were talking before the show, it's the 40th or 30th anniversary. 30th? 40th
30th,
anniversary.
40th
No,
anniversary,
94.
30th anniversary of The Crow, right?
Yeah, 30th anniversary of The Crow, and that was one of my favorite episodes we did because it's one of my all-time favorite films. Anytime we do Star Wars films, I enjoyed the last 3 years covering Lord of the Rings. Those were fun. Some of my favorite movies are my favorite episodes, and then sometimes there's episodes that really surprise me that I enjoyed doing. Not that there's a running gag in our group of friends that I'm the asshole friend. I mean, we all know this. I'm not telling you and Frank and Long anything, even though Long can be a bigger asshole than I am. And so I every now and then I give Matt a little credit, and I did enjoy talking Robin Hood. That was fun, and it was one of our more successful episodes last year. I did not enjoy talking Robin Hood Men in Tights, so that was terrible.
Yeah.
Things like that surprise me. I'm trying to think, like, when it comes to first watch films, what is one that I had never seen before that surprised me the most?
Did you see Bullet? Did you see Bullet before
I guess that was the first time I'd watched it all the way through. I'd seen parts of it. So that was probably I pretty much say it's a first time watch. But I didn't love that one. That was okay. I'm actually looking at our movies right now and trying to think of what's one that. No, I did not love the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. That was.
Oh yeah, you're like that was terrifying.
I'm one and done. I'll never watch it again ever. Thanks, Matt, for horrifying me.
You're welcome.
That was just not
Hellraiser. Weren't you surprised at Hellraiser?
Well, I had seen Hellraiser before though, but I guess I hadn't seen it in years. So I think the second one I had never seen before.
Dream Warriors. Freddy Krueger, Nightmare on Elm Street.
I had seen Dream Warriors.
Oh, okay.
There's very few movies we've done on the show that I haven't seen.
Yeah, it's hard to remember which one you haven't, because it's like usually I'm the one that hasn't seen something if there's somebody.
Right. I'm just kind of scrolling through the last couple of years and seeing if there's something I can see on here that I don't.
Three Amigos?
No, I had seen that.
Oh, okay.
Damn, it's going to be hard pressed to find one I haven't seen. Because I think we even made a joke about that when it came to Bullet. Like, this might be the first movie ever that we've done the show that I hadn't seen before. But I'm sure there's something I'm not thinking of. Man.
I know everyone's seen the car chase scene pop up on like a random video highlight reel on Facebook or something.
Right.
Because it's like, it was the first time that they had. It always pops up on like a top 5 classic car chase scene, because that's like the first time where they're like, you know what, let's not have music playing over. Let's just have the shifting of the gears and the double clutching and the tires screeching. And that was like the first film to do that. And then after that, they're just like, oh yeah, this is what we're doing from now on.
It became a thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably something in one of the horror movies we've done that I never, but yeah, man, 10 years, man, that's a long fucking time, no matter how you look at it. But it's also a very short amount of time, when you put it in perspective of life. And man, but thanks to the listeners that put up with us for all these years, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
sure there's someone out there that's actually been with us all 10 years. I know for a fact there's a couple of real life friends, not people behind the internet, that I know have listened to us on and off for the whole 10 years, and I'm sure there's somebody else out there. And I'm going to be pretty active in the next week if I can be on our social media celebrating our 10th anniversary and see what I can do on there and have some fun with it.
Yeah.
And go from there. And yeah, I mean, I'm back to 2019, and I've only seen a couple of them that I knew were first time watches, but I'm trying to find like that one that surprised me, and I'm just saying, man, I watched. I guess it means I watched too many fucking movies, Matt.
Maybe so. Maybe that's what it means.
I mean,
Like Neve Campbell in Scream. I always feel like, she would say that line to us, like, "You two sick fucks have seen way too many movies."
Hey, man,
Yep. I'm like this is how I feel like maybe Neve Campbell would react if if she listened to one of our podcasts.
Not too far from the truth.
Uh-huh.
Not too far from the truth. But yeah, so and then it feels like today we rebooted the show with episode 81, and that's when we went to a movie podcast. And we were always a movie podcast, but that's when we went to like featured films and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels like with the movie we're doing today, it's almost full circle with 2 years, because back in 2018, 4 years into the show, we covered the original Planet of the Apes, and then today we're doing, of course, the newer versions as we get ready for Kingdom of Planet of the Apes coming out in a couple weeks. But it's good times, and so we'll keep on going, and we'll have more on the 10th anniversary soon. But in the meantime, do you see that MGM Amazon has announced a release date for a Masters of the Universe movie of June 2026? And my first thought was this, like, my first thought in this was like, oh, that's cool. My second thought was like, we've been making this movie for 25 years. It seems since after John Woo was involved in 2002, after making Mission Impossible 2, that they've been trying to get this movie off the ground. That Woo wanted to make it because he's a big Master of the Universe fan, and it never got made. And John Woo was one of the hotter directors on the planet back then, and he couldn't get the movie made, So is Amazon gonna be able to actually get this made finally? It feels
going to
like
be cast.
It feels like a movie that I want to happen, but it also feels like it's going to be I just don't have a lot of faith it's going to be any good. That's going to turn out well. It's got to have a high budget to pull off the worlds of Eternia and He-Man and Skeletor and do it the right way. We'll see, man. I don't know. I always don't like it too when they announce release date for a movie with no other plans really, except we have a release date. Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, and then nothing else. They don't have a cast or
announce the director's been hired and a script has been written. Then just saying, oh, we have a release date. Oh, that doesn't mean anything.
That's like, well, we haven't done this film, but I saw this about Striptease the other day, the Demi Moore movie. She was the first person hired for the film. And
well, that's pretty common. That does happen a lot.
Yeah, to attract the star power.
Right.
And apparently, fun fact, we
probably will never do that film. Just let's be clear.
Yeah, I did try for the Burt Reynolds Memorial episode, but I didn't make it. But yeah, they had test audiences as the audience for the strip places, the strip clubs that she would perform at, and they didn't get paid a whole lot. Yeah, you can imagine why people wanted to be extras, but apparently it got pretty rowdy. They were like hooting and hollering so much they had to like calm the crowd down. But fun stuff. But yeah, sometimes they do that. They'll go out and get like a big name actor and then build everything around them.
Right.
Let them choose the director and stuff.
So we'll see if He-Man actually gets made. They are also, I just lost it. George Miller says he's not done with Mad Max, despite his age. That he has plans for another movie set in the Mad Max universe. It's not the Wasteland movie that he was talking up a few years ago, which is apparently a sequel to Fury Road, but in fact, it could be another prequel where it's parallel to the upcoming Furiosa movie, where it's Max's story as to what's going on with him before he ends up in Fury Road.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of people that say, isn't it interesting to know why he's standing there with a broken down car and his hair's long at the beginning of Fury Road? So that's what George says he may be working on next. And he says he's going to finish the press release and finish up Furiosa and all that. And he may start on it fairly soon, because he understands he's not getting any younger. And it may be his next film. We're waiting almost 8 years in between Fury Road and Furiosa, but it may not be that long for the next one if everything works out George Miller's way. And I'm all for that. I like that universe. I think it's cool. Furiosa looks fantastic. And I really have a lot of faith that it's going to be fantastic. The more and more I see the commercial and the trailers, and I just feel like this vibe that Miller's going to pull it off again,
Yeah. I mean, especially after watching Mad Max Fury Road, you feel like it looks like this film is just a continuation of that high octane rush. I mean, I saw that there's a 15-minute action sequence that took like 72 days to film or something crazy like that. So I know they went all out for this film. So this seems like, Across the Spider-Verse, where it took them like half a year to, do the Spider-Man chase scene, so it feels like it's going to be in the same vein. So it's always cool when you hear something like that.
Oh yeah. I can't wait. I'm not sure when I'm going to see Furiosa, being that we'll be at Compalooza that weekend. I might have to wait about a week to see it, but that's okay.
Yeah.
And lastly, Tron Ares, the Tron sequel, announced that I was kind of waiting for this, but Jeff Bridges is coming back to play Flynn.
Saw that.
And it just felt like that was necessary. It's like, it's cool we're making a Tron sequel, but I feel like Jeff or Bruce Boxleitner need to be in the film. It just feels like that's their universe. And I'll be surprised at some point if Bruce gets announced that he's in it too. Now, Bruce wasn't officially in Tron Legacy. He did the voice of Tron because it was a younger actor who played Tron in the movie, because you don't really ever see Tron's face, remember, in Tron Legacy. So Bruce just does Tron's voice in a few times he talks in it. So even if you bring Bruce back in some sort of factor like that, it'd be cool to see him come back too. And but it's cool that Jeff's coming back, and he felt like it. And he said he's coming back because he appreciated Legacy, but he felt like he didn't like where he left the character, and this gives him a chance to redeem his character arc on the character of Flynn and Tron Ares. So that's pretty cool. I'm looking forward to that. I think it comes out next year. So I think Tron should be pretty cool. But
imagine with the technology now, those light cycles are going to look badass.
Oh yeah. I mean, I always I like Tron Legacy, but I always wish now we have better CGI, they could go back and fix Clue and the way he looks in it and everything. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
And but it's still a cool movie. And now I wish Olivia Wilde would come back in the tight leather outfits. That'd be, make it even more special. But
yeah, that wouldn't be too bad.
But so a little bit of news there to get caught up on some big stuff. And man, as far as watching things this week before we get to the featured film, man, I am really slacked off. I'm trying to get caught up on Bad Batch since the season finale is out, or series finale. I don't want it to be spoiled for me. I have like 3 episodes to go, so I've watched some Bad Batch, and great Star Wars series. I'm going to keep selling that to those people that are sitting across the camera from me that haven't gotten caught up on the Bad Batch. I'm telling you, man, if you enjoyed Rebels, you need to watch this show. It's that good. Just really, really well done. And not only Rebels, but you being a guy who, not that I want that to sound right, but you really appreciate, the military and what they go through because of your family and things like that. And I do too. Just the way this show handles soldiers and the way they have to deal with things they deal with. And the writing's phenomenal. And some of that, what Filoni's done with these troopers are animated clone troopers, but you buy into their story because it's such good storytelling. So it's worth watching, man. The Bad Batch is great stuff. And when I say I slack, that's about all I've watched this week.
No X-Men?
Oh, I did watch. No, I didn't watch the Rogue episode. I started it and I didn't, and I paused it and then never went back.
Dang.
So I'm
So
2
now you're
episodes
two
behind on that.
episodes behind.
Yeah.
Dang.
And then man, I
And
feel
there's
like
only 2 more episodes left, right? Yeah.
yeah, you know, and this may sound terrible. So I dropped my Disney Plus down to the ad version, and so now it's like it's become a chore to watch it because I got to sit through the ads. I know that's sad. And oh, and I did watch. Peacock is starting to put a lot of anime on it. They're trying to get into the anime game.
Huh.
And I think Long had mentioned it once. So I watched the first episode of Bubblegum Crisis, which is an old school anime. It's pretty good. It's definitely a little older. And a bunch of good looking chicks in robot outfits and things like that. And it's pretty cool. And it's on Peacock now. Peacock's actually, and it's funny is how any of these streaming services, right? You watch something, then they'll suggest a bunch of other stuff for you. So now I get all these,
Yeah.
mostly it's wrestling suggestions on Peacock, but now I'm getting
yeah.
anime suggestions. And I'm like, wow, Peacock has this much anime on it.
I remember
So
that
yeah,
one.
I just watched first episode the other day. And pretty cool stuff. And that's really all I've watched this week. I am slacked off, which is funny because I watched the movie for the podcast like really early in the week again this week. And after that, but to be fair, I've been working out and exercising a lot, trying to take good care of myself. So I've been coming home and doing that instead of being a couch potato.
There we go. I did the opposite. I did not hit the gym this week. Instead, I did get caught up on X-Men. I like where it's going. They are introducing new villains and stronger villains, and it's going in a pretty cool direction. Things are bubbling up and coming to a boiling point, and it's obviously coming to a big ass fight. The last episode, probably in the last episode of the film or in the series, but maybe they'll make it a 2-parter and elongate it. Hopefully they do. Leave us on a nice cliffhanger, and then make like a nice long last episode. Watch some more Lost. Keep trying to keep watching it. And then
I'm gonna hold you to that. You're gonna finish the goddamn TV series for once, Matt.
Yeah,
you're gonna go finish Babylon 5. Okay,
I do need to finish Babylon 5.
Then you're gonna watch Breaking Bad. Okay, that's your goal for 2024.
Season 3 is what I'm on Babylon 5. So I need to.
Okay, so you have got a little further along then. Yeah.
Yeah, I finished season 2.
Oh man, once you get to season 3, it starts rolling. So you're getting to the good shit then, Babylon 5.
Yeah. The crap. Now I can't remember the mind readers. The mind readers.
The
Vorlons. Yeah, they come in into season 3. I remember that. I think I watched like the first couple episodes.
Yeah.
But yeah. Still reading Dune. I'm a little bit more than halfway through, and I like it. I rewatched the first Dune.
How many pages is it?
Dune like Part 1.
I know how many pages is Dune.
Oh shit! I need to look at it, but it's like, probably it's like 48 chapters or something like that.
Yeah, I can't do that shit.
it's crazy because it's like the book comes in a 3-pack with Messiah and Children of Dune, and it's like the first book is like 60% of the box that those 3 books come in. And I'm just like, wow, that first book, no wonder Dennis had to, break it up into 2 parts. That's the only way you can do it. Austin Butler's character is in the book is introduced a whole lot earlier, which is what the first Dune did. But the way this movie goes back and forth through the different characters, you don't, there's just no way for you to do it like the book is written.
All right.
And the book is partially in certain parts, it's told by the outlook of the princess. That, of course, Paul, is going to marry, I guess, and at the end of Dune 2.
Well, I was reading that there's something that Dennis or Frank Herbert's son kind of complained about, and some hardcore Dune fans complained out. Like, there's like almost a 3-chapter section of just this banquet scene, and it's just that's all it is, and it introduces a bunch of political people, a bunch of characters that apparently will become important in later books. But it's just like this long 3 or 4 chapter thing, and these hardcore Dune fans are complaining that it wasn't in the film because, I guess, because they feel it's important later on. And Dennis has said, look, there's a reason we didn't do it. We didn't feel it was necessary for the story we're telling, but I'm not saying that these characters won't be used in other ways later. Dennis said he didn't ignore it. He just said, look, trust me what we're doing. Yeah. And I'm like, that's wild. 3 chapters of just political dining table stuff.
Yeah, I'm not sure what part that might have been, but I know like there's one part that they left out that I'm just like, it didn't need to be in there. Howard, that chief of security that is like, oh, accept my resignation whenever.
Yeah. I heard he had a bigger part in the book.
He does. And Paul actually first, Leto, the Duke wants to fire Howard, and Paul is like, no, Howard trained me. The only reason I was able to stop the Hunter Seeker was because of his training. He served like 3 generations. Give him another chance. And instead of that, in the book, they're like, or in the movie, he's like, I don't accept your resignation. Find some spies, and that's it. So it circumvents that, and then Howard, once all the Atreides are betrayed, he actually suspects Jessica. He actually suspects Paul's mom.
Yeah, I read that,
of orchestrating it. And so the Harkonnens do this thing where they're trying to.
Well, don't they allude to that in the 84
Howard on their
version?
side?
I think they allude to that in the 84 version. Yeah. That he believes she betrayed him. Yeah.
But yeah, and that's completely cut out of the book. But for good reason. Maybe Howard shows up later and he's like, it's your fault or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Unnecessary though. There's certain things that you just can't, or wouldn't be the best thing to adapt to a movie.
Right.
Other than that, more Diablo 4. I beat the campaign with a sorceress this time, and now I'm just going on random missions, taking out strongholds, and having fun.
There you go. All right. Well, let's get towards today's featured film then, and then we'll have a little something after that before we go. But in 2 weeks, next weekend, this movie series continues, and this is a series. The original films originally came out in 1968, if I remember correctly. It was the original Planet of the Apes with Charlton Heston, and it went on to spawn 4 sequels and became one of the most popular movie franchises of all time. One of my favorite movie franchises. I've always enjoyed the original Planet of the Apes films. Even the not so good ones, I still find something to enjoy about them, just the charm of the time they were made. That series spawned action figures and comics and an animated series and a television series. And it went on just to spawn a huge franchise in the face of science fiction franchises at the time, between Star Trek and Star Wars and other things that were coming out. And Planet of the Apes was was very successful in its own right. And then it just kind of went dormant for years. And then Tim Burton tried to remake it with his Planet of the Apes, which was I don't knock that film too hard. I appreciate for what Tim tried to do with it. I know it's not great and people don't really love it, but
I feel like it looks good.
Yeah, it looks great and it tries hard. And I've said this before, if Tim leaves off the weird surprise twist ending he tried to make bigger than the original twist ending, it's fine. Just don't do the twist ending, Tim. And then it went dormant again, even though there was almost a sequel to Tim Burton's film. It never happened. And until a very unknown director named Rupert Wyatt decided to reboot it with Rise of the Planet of the Apes. And we covered that movie about 3 years ago on its 5th or anniversary or something when it came out. And Rise of the Planet of the Apes came out, and it really took audiences by surprise of how good it was. And this was a movie that was done as a reboot slash pseudo sequel to the Charlton Heston film, mostly through some Easter eggs and some little fun stuff to make it seem like it was a prequel. But really, it's despite what people say, oh no, it's definitely a prequel. No, this is a reboot series. People, it just had some fun Easter eggs in it, is all. And then in its success led to the movie that we're going to talk about today, and that is its sequel, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. And they asked Rupert Wyatt to come back, and he was doing something else and just couldn't fit in his schedule. So Matt Reeves became available, and I think for the better. Matt Reeves did say, "Hey, I want to do it, but can we push the movie back a year so I can rewrite the script?" And the studio said, "Yeah, well, you can rewrite the script," because Matt Reeves felt that there was just some things that needed to be changed, and mostly the timeline of it.
Yeah,
and he said, "Hey, if we're going to do this, we have to move the story forward." So this movie ends up taking place approximately about 10 years after Rise of the Planet of the Apes. In the year, I guess it's not said officially, but it's the year 2026 in the movie.
Yeah, 2026.
And the Simian Flu, which is alluded to at the end of Rise of the Planet of the Apes, has pretty much wiped out most of the population of Earth, with straggling humans in camps and military bases around the planet, which by the time we get to next week's film, which we'll talk about later, we do realize there were probably more humans alive than we thought. But at least in the United States, most of the United States have been taken over by the population of the apes as the apes have evolved and gotten smarter. Cesar obviously can speak. He's taught other apes sign language, with some of the other apes learning to speak. They've developed their own societies with places to live, having baby ape children, hunting, doing their thing. But for the most part, they stay away from the human camps. They want nothing to do with them. They just want to live in peace. And there are conversations that allude that other apes are out there, which they've been doing that since this film. And we're finally looks like with Kingdom, we're finally going to see what that's about. It's even alluded to War for Planet of the Apes, but we never see the other societies. But it all starts with Dawn. I feel like Dawn is the kickoff for Rise. Rise is like the prequel, right? But then Dawn is like where this franchise takes off into the next film, and then hopefully next week's film. And so in this, though, the humans do cross over into Caesar's world because they need power, and there's a dam in the Apes territory they need to get working. But Caesar and his apes, they're not having it. They're like, no, we're not fucking with humans, man. And they initially send them on their way and tell them no. But then, man, what's his character's name? Dude from Terminator.
Is that Howard or?
Crap. I can remember the actor's name is Malcolm. Jason
Malcolm.
Jason Clark. So Malcolm decides to go back in because Gary Oldman, who plays the leader of the human resistance, or not, I don't even know if it's a resistance, it's just a human camp, says, no, we really need this. Can you go back in? And he goes back in and he has a conversation with Caesar. And Caesar, being that, he's been with humans before, and he felt that he knows they can be good, like Will was. He uses his judgment and decides he's going to trust Malcolm and let them come in to build the dam. And but in the meantime, there are other apes like Koba and some of them that believe the humans aren't good, and they want to rouse up their own trouble. And of course, that's what ensues. Trouble ensues. Koba turns on Caesar and shoots him, starting a revolution against the humans. And then while Caesar has to heal himself and get back, he has to go in and break his own rule of apes don't kill apes, and that has to stop Koba from destroying other humans. And the movie ends on a fantastic note where a very, very Empire Strikes Back-esque ending where Malcolm tells him, like, hey, you got to get out of here. We got to hold the military. They're coming. The war is going to start. And Caesar looks at him in a very powerful moment and says, unfortunately, I'm paraphrasing, but the war has already begun. You need to leave, Malcolm. We're going to stand our ground. And a lot happens in between that. I've summarized this movie, but this is, this is a kick-ass film that tells a really good story, and it moves the story forward so much. Matt Reeves was absolutely right by rewriting the script to help move the story forward because it opens up the world immensely. It sets up future sequels, as we'll talk more next week, and then one that's coming out in theaters. And that's what Dawn does so well. It feels like a setup for the future, but it also tells a fantastic story, and it's a really good movie. It might be, like I said last week on the preview, my favorite. And I like all three of them a lot. It's hard to pick a favorite in this trilogy.
This is the most successful, though.
Yeah.
This is of all three. Well, for now, we'll see how this new one comes out. But yeah, this is a film that I think I remember watching it and not being as excited for it as Dawn or War.
This is Dawn.
I'm sorry, as Rise or War. But I feel like after watching it, it's definitely a lot of tension and build up, and it shows that apes and humans are alike. And just how that kind of escalates, and you've got Cesar, and obviously Cesar has had better experiences with humans, and Koba is this sect that is dissenting from Caesar's view because he was tested on. He has a different experience, so Koba instigates, unfortunately, causing the war, really. This is apparently I didn't realize that this is essentially a remake of Battle of the Planet of the Apes. It wasn't intended that way, obviously, but I was looking at that one, and the apes in that one, they go to war with the mutants in that film, and they're trying to get guns. And so it's a battle for control of the planet, which is essentially what this turns into. And then Judy Greer plays Caesar's wife, but Cornelia, but she doesn't do anything really. It's like she doesn't talk, which was a Matt Reeves thing. Reeves did not want all of them to talk. He wanted Cesar to be able to kind of talk, but he wanted the rest to use sign language. But at first, the studio wanted the apes to just be able to talk a whole lot more and have full-on conversations. But Reeves thought that maybe that was too quick, and he decided to go this route where they're mainly using sign language, which I like because it's
I like the choices he made.
He did a good job. I think the only character that's like I have a beef with is the guy that keeps screwing everything up for the humans. You know which one I'm talking about? He's Carver. He's played by Kirk Acevedo.
Yeah.
And he keeps bringing guns. He shot an ape, which is why they got driven out of the forest in the first place. And
he's basically a macho man dumbass.
Yes, macho man dumbass is the best way to put it. And then he's the only one that I'm just like, I'm glad that he got killed by the apes because he friggin' deserved it. Gary Oldman's in the film, which he does a good job. He liked the franchise and wanted to be a part of the film. But he's not really a bad guy. He is an antagonist.
No, he's trying to do what he thinks is right for the humans.
Yeah. But he's definitely not like Koba. Koba, man, the voice actor that did Koba, Circus is good, but this Toby Kebbell character does a pretty good job of emulating Koba, and just his emotions, his anger, his frustration with the humans. He does a really good job of putting that on screen. Maurice is back. Maurice looks good. And this is a good story. I feel like the apes, you kind of connect with the problems that they're having. Caesar's just trying to protect his family. he's trying to protect his sons, and he knows that the humans are good, or humans can be good, but humans, just like apes, can fight amongst themselves and can have bad apes, or can have bad seeds among them. And he realizes that, and one part he tells Malcolm that he's like, I used to think apes were better. Now I realize that apes and humans are pretty much the same. And the film does a pretty good job of putting that in perspective too. So not only is this film, highly successful because it looks good, it's acted well, written well, it's got a great story and some morals behind it, almost fable like.
Yeah, and oh yeah, fantastic special effect work. The set designs are I think really well done, where they give a look of you can see where society has fallen, but not fallen too much. It feels almost like there's a sense of hope, but yet not. Compared to when we get to the next film, where it's all is lost. Uh, and I think one of the things you hit on that was really interesting about this movie is how the apes and humans are a lot alike, and the apes don't really, pick up on this until Caesar's doing what Koba does, and then he realizes, like, man, we're not that different than humans, even though Caesar thinks we are. And I think Andy Serkis, who does the mocap for Caesar, does a spectacular job, and they're able, through special effects and Andy's work, to make Caesar a living, breathable character that you feel is on screen with you, and you feel his feelings, you feel his weight that he has on him to lead these apes. And you sympathize with his empathy for apes and humans themselves, because he was raised by a human, and the decisions he has to make. Like, he realizes, like, he doesn't want to kill Koba, but he knows that he doesn't have a choice. And I think Caesar's a pretty remarkable character that they've created on the screen through these films, and without Andy Serkis bringing it out to life, who knows how well it would have done,
Is this a better? I don't know. Is this a better character that Serkis has voiced? I feel like I don't know, between Gollum and Caesar, these could be his two best that he's.
I give the nod to Caesar only because Gollum was already written for him. Gollum's a character that was created in books, been done in animated series. All he had to do was basically animate it out and then do some voice work for it. Where Caesar was written from new scripts, new ideas. Yes, it's based on Planet of the Apes films and stuff, but I think that it's a more realized, newer character, if that's fair to say. Not that his work on Gollum's not great, but yeah, I think Caesar's where he really found his mark as a mocap actor. And to Andy's credit, he's a good actor on his own too. Everything he's in, he's always good.
Yeah, whether it's doing Smaug the dragon, Emperor Snoke, or just playing himself, like in 13 Going on 30, or something like that. He's great. Or maybe Black Panther. Black Panther might be a better performance from him as an actor.
Well, I liked him as Alfred in Batman. Matt Reeves, of course, brought in, and Matt Reeves, man, his direction. One thing I've noticed with Matt is, like, he's so good at atmosphere and building and not like I don't even want to say a tension, but he has this way of just putting you into the world around him, whether it's the Planet of the Apes films, where it's Let Me In, or Cloverfield, or Batman. You feel like you're in Gotham City. You feel like you're at the apartment building and Let Me In. You feel like you're there in the forest with the apes. You feel like you're following those kids with the camera in Cloverfield. And Reeves is really good at that with his eye on camera for giving you the world that he's in.
Yeah, I will say that's probably his strength, is making the audience feel like they're there. I think in this film, a good example of that is whenever the two guys are target shooting, and the angle that they have it at, that shooting at, you see just behind the sandbags, you see the people's heads popping over those sandbags, and you're watching Koba walk around. It's almost like you're sitting in that against those sandbags with those two guys, just watching this play out. But yeah, Reeves. I mean, you take any one of Reeves's films, and that's the same look you've got in a lot of his films. Just at the viewer level, to where the viewer can actually picture themselves in the film or in that scene. So yeah, good point. Reeves does a good job of that.
Yeah. No, and he crafted a great film here, and the film that we're doing next week is also very good. I mean, he just did too. I mean, say about Matt Reeves' career so far, he's just hasn't really made anything bad yet. The guy seems to be pretty solid so far. And this movie, this was his first big blockbuster. I mean, Cloverfield was a modest hit. Let Me In was a modest hit. But I think Dawn of the Planet of the Apes is a movie that really put him over as far as, man, this guy can handle blockbusters, because the studio trusts him enough for their blockbuster franchise after some of the successes of Cloverfield and Let Me In. And it shows that he can prove it. And I've said before on the show that I feel that him and Dennis Villeneuve are two of our younger up-and-coming big-time directors. These guys can be the next Christopher Nolans, the next Steven Spielbergs. These guys can make those kind of films.
Yeah, and man, one thing I wanted to point out is there's a book that I read, a graphic novel that I read, and that's Black Hole. Sorry, I had to think about it. By Charles Burns. It's a graphic novel where everyone's got a mutation, but the cool kids, they have cool mutations, and the outcasts, they have to go to the woods, and they just kind of live out there away from society. And Alexander, the little kid, I guess it's Malcolm's kid, he hands over his copy of Black Hole to Maurice, and I noticed the illustration around the book, and I was like, man, that looks like Black Hole. And sure enough, that is the book that Alexander hands to Maurice in film, when they're getting to know each other and they're trying to get more acquainted. They're learning some things about the apes while they're working on the dam. That's just something that they exchanged. So I thought that was pretty cool that made it into a film, like a big film. And Matt Reeves, I guess, wrote that in there. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah. But no, man, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes was good, exciting. Looking forward next week to talking about its sequel. And then looking forward to see Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes in theaters too, as this franchise continues. But yeah, good stuff. So we will preview War for Planet of the Apes in a minute. But before we get there, next week we will have a top 5. But this week we used to do this thing, kind of a little bit mini celebration for our 10th anniversary here. And we did this on our Patreon. We ran our Patreon for a year. And if people that don't know, a Patreon was a pay service where you could donate some money and it helped the podcast. But we did it for about a year. We decided to drop the Patreon because, I'll just be perfectly fucking honest, it wasn't very successful.
Yeah.
And that's okay. And we did an episode a month where we were discussing bad movies, like on purpose. Like we did Batman and Robin. We did the 98 Godzilla, movies just weren't
Red Sonja. Yeah.
And so we did this game on there, and it was called Guess the Movie from a Page from the Script. Okay. And I actually really thought that was fun. And we're going to do a couple of these on the 10th anniversary episode when we record it. But I have one for tonight. And all I'm going to say is there's already been a huge clue in this episode of what the script page is. And if I say beep, 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 that means there's words I can't say because it would give it away. Okay? All right. You ready, Matt?
I'm ready.
We have sealed the gates of the city. The castle is secure. We're closing in. Yes, yes. And beep, beep. He continues to lead the resistance. I assure you, we will have him before the day is out. I want him kneeling at my feet. After all this time, beep, beep is ours. No, mine. Someone is speaking to me? Yes. Beep. My lovely prisoner, my prisoner at last. I have won. I have won. The darkness is rising to embrace you. The dark can embrace the light.
Oh shit. Tron Legacy?
No, and that you can't guess every movie that we talked about.
God
today.
damn it.
That's not fair. You can't.
Because I was like,
guess.
you said kneeling at my feet. I was like, oh, man, is this a scene from Robin Hood? And I was like, oh, no. Man, shit. The Crow.
No. Come on, man. It's not even close.
Damn it.
You have failed.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to get this one.
But
I know we used to give ourselves a few clues, but we could say the genre.
Right. But I gave you a clue saying it was in the episode. So I'm not going to
Yeah.
Well, it's sort of in the episode, but close enough. But that's from the original Dolph Lundgren Masters of the Universe.
I
had to beep out the words Castle Grayskull and Sorceress.
Okay, because when
it's
you
a
said
tough
beep,
one.
Beep, I was
it's
like,
a tough one. But I had, I was like, I had to have some fun. I'll be honest, I spur of the moment right before we started. Kind of like, you know what? I'll pick Master of the Universe. But that's all right. But before we get out of here, next week, and we already blew our wad, so to speak, on this, but we are going to continue on to finish off the modern retelling of the Planet of the Apes trilogy, and we are going to discuss War for the Planet of the Apes.
He's a smart one, isn't he? What are you gonna name him?
Do they look like just apes to you?
He saved our lives.
He was remarkable.
Apes together! Strong, strong!
You're him. You're Cesar. We've been searching for you for so long.
I did not start this war. I fight only to protect apes.
Human gets sick, ape gets smart. Then human kill ape. But not me. I run.
There are times when it is necessary to abandon our humanity, to save humanity.
They must pay. I will finish this. I offered you peace. I showed you mercy.
You talk about mercy? No matter what you say, eventually you'd replace us. That's the law of nature. So what would you have done?
What did the humans promise you? No matter what you do, you'll never be one of them. You are.
We are the beginning! Apes together! Strong! We are the beginning! Apes together! Strong!
Have you come to save your apes?
I came for you.
And another film directed by Matt Reeves, and another really good film with a fantastic action sequences toward the end of the film. A fantastic Woody Harrelson as the villain in the movie. A lot to love in this movie too. And as the world of the Planet of the Apes expands in this film, even more so. I think if I remember correctly, the timeline, it's like almost another 10 years skips. If I'm right, from Dawn to War, something like that. We'll look at that next week. And But it's gonna be fun to discuss this movie as we get closer to our 400th episode in Compalooza, and next week discuss War for the Planet of the Apes on the Rebel Radio podcast. But until then, the rebelradiopodcast.com for all your Rebel Radio needs, and we thank you as always for listening and being a part of it over these 10 years, and more celebrations to come in the next few weeks. And make sure you follow us on our social media so you don't miss nothing. But until then, it's been Mark.
This has been Matt.
Remember, as always, just go there and
Go there and do it.